Shalom. This is an emergency broadcast alert giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash, to whom we are in great debt. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, who rule well, continue doing so, standing firm in the eyes of terror. To the elders, the bishops, Akim and Aquab. Salutations and blessings to the house of David. We are the hopeful elect. This will be another quick one on Joe Biden's State of the Union address. Of course, I'll try to do my best and speak exactly like he spoke. And for those who are in the know, will understand what I mean. But this was one of the best soap operas moments I've seen in a long time. So he has given his best. Actually, he was at his best. He did make a few uh, mumbles here and there because he did get tired of speaking. It was an hour and almost 40 minutes. And then, so he started off, with a bang, in other words, but did not say much for the little people. Everything was for the middle and the higher class. Now, when I tell you he spoke very little of the little people, I mean they are not doing anything whatsoever for the little people. What's coming around this time is only meant for the middle class and the higher ups. This is what he spoke of. He also spoke of the fact that they need more money for Ukraine. So they are going to continue funding Ukraine. They are not backing up. He said they will keep the war drums beating. They will continue attacking China when it comes to the battery and their toy cars because they need their electric cars for their agenda. So he said that they will push Pelosi's bills. In fact, she was there smiling and clapping away like never before. They spoke also of the unicorn of things and how they will crack down on misinformation. And when I tell you they will crack down on misinformation, I hope you know what this means because I do not want to get into details because we have spoken about this many a times. And just recently, Canada just came out with some new laws against Christianity, in other words, right? I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. Women will get more power before he's before he leaves the seat. He is going to sign some new bills for women, and he is going to continue signing bills so women can run amok in the United States. Because what this is the worship of the woman, right? They need to keep that up. And for the migrant so-called problem, because it's not a problem, it is something they created themselves. They're going to choose who stays and who goes. Instead of 8 months, they're going to change it to 6 weeks. Or select it. He said 6 months. So instead of 8 years before you see a judge for your paperwork, if you're going to stay or go in this country, they're going to make it into 6 months. Now, I'm going to play a little piece, which this little piece is what pertains to the hopeful elect. So pay close attention because I'm just going to play that little part that he does not speak directly, but like a snake that he is, I'm going to read the scripture. This is Jeremiah 17:9. The heart of Osalakia. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Again, Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I thought it was important for you to see the characters at play and their behavior now under this address and how they normally carry themselves. It's all a novela. Oh, by the way, the left and the right, and the left did not say much, but the right was excited and happy and clapping. Now watch closely. Trump lover is recording Biden.
Keep looking this way. Don't focus on them. Mr. President. Look over here. Mr. President. Mr. President. Good to see you, Mr. President. This is about you. This is about the soul of the nation.
See how close she is to him now? Meanwhile, she's always hating on him in public. Yeah, well, it's like, let's just get to the speech, right? Now, I'm only going to play three small parts of this whole thing because it's too long and it's mostly garbage. So, the hidden, how should I call this? This is Jeremiah 10, Jeremiah 17, verse 10. Going back to what I read before, and I'll read it again. I'm going to read them together this time. Jeremiah 17, verse 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins. I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. Psalms 58, verse 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
Good evening. Good evening. If I were smart, I'd go home now. Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans, in January 1941, Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation, and he said, I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. But Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that it needs to defend itself.
So, if you understand what he just said, where he's not going anywhere when it comes to war with Putin.
That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers in war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now, assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
Well, the rest is about him saying he's not backing down from the war in Ukraine after he keeps bashing Trump, because he doesn't mention the name Trump, but he does bash. As you can see, he's just, using words. This is all he says about the little people, and they're getting nothing, okay?
Years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses, remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus that took more than 1 million American lives, of loved ones, millions left behind, a mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told. Abilities. Building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. Investing in all America, in all Americans, to make sure everyone has a fair shot, and we leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccines that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback. That's what America does. That's what America does. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record, a record. At 50-year lows. 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting.
So why I see so many places close? So now he talks about, individual bills for his people, not for us. Everything is for the middle class and the higher ups. Remember what he just said, but everything goes for the middle class and the higher ups. All right, I did say there were 4 pieces of this that I wanted to cut, but there are others that I want to include, so bear with me.
I propose a minimum tax for billionaires of 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member.
Imagine all the people. Yeah, you know what? This is just a lot of talk. This is not saying that this is going to happen. Everything that they say is the opposite. You should know that by now.
The future of home care and elder care and people living with disabilities, so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you.
I will stop you.
I want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you. The working people who built this country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have 2 ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no, you guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealth. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen. Oh no, you guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealth. That's good to hear. In 6 months instead of 6 years now. Rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front, so there are no surprises. It matters. It matters. And so does this. In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now. to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. New emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying low, look at the facts. I know you know how to read. Has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win, he viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him, it's not about me. I'd be a winner, not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed.
I don't know if you noticed that, but the minute he started mumbling and fumbling the ball, she interrupted. It was a clue for him to talk about. I'll play it again. I'll play that again.
I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win, he viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him, it's not about me. I'd be a winner, not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals?
He doesn't mention the fact that who are the politics that make the law, right? So it's just a novella, because who made the law? Who makes the laws for these people to come in and get released or get sent back? Now, this is another part you should pay close attention to, because this is for the little people, all right? This is what he does for the little people, like the things that matter and that is important. The little people have nothing whatsoever, okay? So you need to pay close attention to what his deal is, or should I say, what the handler's deal is.
The biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention. Give communities the tool to crack down on gun crime, retail crime, and carjacking. Keep building trust, as I've been doing by taking executive action on police reform and calling for it to be the law of the land. Directing my cabinet to review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using or have it on their record. Take on crimes of domestic violence. I'm ramping up the federal enforcement of the Violence Against Women Act that I proudly wrote when I was a senator, so we can finally end the scourge against women in America. It is Jasmine, whose 9-year-old sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message. So everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House. My predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. Oh. After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
So they take the guns away, but here's how it works. The ones who want to protect themselves will no longer have guns, and the criminals don't care for licenses. They don't care for the law. So they'll get their hands on guns regardless. So crime will always be. So this is hypocrisy at its best. And we all know that too. And now the plan to control lithium or ion battery for the batteries, if you may.
TP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair economic practices. We're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific. India, Australia, Japan, South Korea, the Pacific Islands. I've made sure that the most advanced American technologies can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there. Frankly, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that.
All right, this is the part where he cues, in other words, Pelosi. He gives her, in other words, the assurance that she needed that he is going to back her behind doors. All right.
In my career, I've been told I was too young. By the way, they didn't let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke. And I've been told I'm too old. Whether young or old, I've always known what endures. I've known our North Star. The very idea of America is that we're all created equal and deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now. I'm optimistic. I really am. I'm optimistic, Nancy. My fellow Americans, the issue facing our nation isn't how old we are. It's how old are our ideas. Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas. It'll only take us back. You lead America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done. Just like the VA is able to do for veterans. That's not just saving seniors money. It's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion. Because Medicare will no longer have to pay those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market to treat everything from heart disease to arthritis. It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade. They're making a lot of money, guys. And they'll still be extremely profitable.
You know, the lawsuits that Big Pharma has won because they have given them the power to write it off. They have protect them from getting sued. There's a big lawsuit right now, which if this demon does what he says he's gonna do, they'll throw it out because they're giving you chump change.
Will not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year, even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. Now I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone. Folks, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but if you want to get an Air Force One and fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow, even Moscow probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, is still a very big deal. Of you can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. Well, my predecessor and many in this chamber want to take this prescription drug away by repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before and we'll stop you again. In fact, I'm not only protecting it, I'm expanding it. They enacted tax credits of $800 per person per year, reduce health care costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent. To state the obvious, women are more than half our population, but research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job as First Lady.
So pay attention to these faces because that's what you're going to see representing women in the future, okay? Now, I hope you have the time to bear these 40 minutes because I cut it down as far as I could. Now, remember, I did include scriptures and I spoke, so that add to the video. So this is Isaiah 10, verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. And what will ye do in the day of visitation, Esau, and in the desolation which shall come from far? To whom will ye flee for help, ye women? And where will ye leave your glory? And I just added that because the scripture does not say Esau or women, but it says everything else. But really, that's what's going to happen because most of our women are in cahoots with this demon because he gives them so much and he takes away from us. Because can you imagine going to work You get up at 3 in the morning to be at work. Well, you have to travel 2 hours. You get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Uh, you get ready, and by the time you get to work, it's 2 hours. You work from 6 to 6, and then you have to travel back 2 hours, mind you. And in that time, you have to worry about feeding yourself and going, your hygiene time and so on and so forth. You have to include it somewhere around the lines. And then you have to find time to sleep. And then you get paid $1,500. You go to the bank, and after the taxes, you come home with four and change. Mind you, they just raised your rent to 1,000 and change a month. And with that, you have to pay your phone bill, your light bill, your rent, and if you have a vehicle, of course, you have to pay for those things too. So how much is left for you? Because nothing is going in the bank for savings in your retirement. You might as well just drop dead. Anyways, I hope you have the time to listen to this. 43 minutes. And if you did, I hope it was edifying. Shalom.